Now there's one thing that every single good player and every single pro does, and that's deliver this golf club from the slot, from the inside, whatever you want to call it, with this nice angle between their arms and the club, and then comes through contact with a little bit of forward shaft lean. That allows you to be very, very consistent. So no matter what their swing style is, no matter what they're doing at the top, they tend to get that club early in the downswing, headed into the slot, and then as they come later into the swing, it's going to be right here. Now, one of the problems with this is if you see that, and maybe your swing looks a little bit more like this, where we're casting, we're flipping, we don't have as much forward shaft lean, we're trying to correct that. It's very difficult to do. And no matter how much you try to hang on to this angle, you look on video and you're down here again. Well, it's actually something very early in your swing that can be causing this. So at the start of the downswing, if I get in the wrong position, now there's no way to correct that. The downswing happens, the entire thing is like a quarter second. So once something starts off in the wrong direction, it's not gonna look like you want at the bottom of the swing. I know Q sees that all the time. Let me go ahead and hit a couple shots here where I show both ways and he can show some of the flight scope numbers. And then we've got some great drills to help you fix this once and for all. So first let's talk about what's happening at the top of the swing that can get us into a bad spot. The main thing, and that I see time and time again, is when players are starting down, they get a little steep like this. So the reason we get steep, we're right arm dominant. I'm feeling like this right shoulder is powerful. My right hand is powerful. So when I start going with my right side of my body, all of a sudden my club kicks out, my club shaft gets steep, kind of pointing inside the golf ball. If I kept going down on that angle, I would just slam the club down into the ground. So being a good player, being a good athlete that you are, you start to get that club a little steep just from natural. You started ever since you started playing golf, you did that. And then to compensate, you kind of stand up, lose a little bit of that lag and flip at the bottom. And that gets you in general a kind of a decent position, but not as good as it could be if we're doing this the right way. So when I have that steep stand up flip swing, I'm not getting in this position that we see all the pros getting into. So let's take a look at this. Let's see what it does with the numbers. So in this one, I'm going to feel like I'm steep. Let me go ahead and try one out. Yeah, so there, to me, it felt like the club wanted to come down and swing to the left, kind of slam down in the ground, and then I kind of had to reroute it. It felt like there's no control of the club. It felt like even though I was pushing really hard with my right side of my body, there's just no speed there. So what was I seeing for my swing speed and distance on that one, Q?
So swing speed was 90.3 and total distance was 144.6.
So 144, even though I was swinging 90 miles an hour, a big part of that is I wasn't getting in that pro position that we're seeing. When I get into this position, I have forward shaft lean, or I have my hands leading the way. As I come into impact, now I have that forward shaft lean. I'm actually compressing the golf ball more because there's less loft on this club and getting more of the energy from the club into the golf ball. So with a 6-iron, swinging 90 miles an hour is pretty fast, but I was doing that by going here and kind of flipping at it. There's no way to get that speed into the golf ball. So the swing was pretty fast, but it just didn't go into the golf ball at all. It's just kind of like a marshmallow kind of floating off there. Now let me do this. Let me go ahead and get that club in the slot. And when I do that, when I shallow this club out, if I look at it kind of halfway down, look at the angle this club is on. It's roughly pointing down to the target line, or where this golf ball would be. It's in line with the golf ball. When I get here, now it's very easy for me to keep on adding speed to this, keep it on rotating, and look, I'm right where I wanted to be. I'm from this inside position, club lagging behind. Now it's really easy to get that forward shaft lean. So here I'm gonna go ahead and do it the right way. My swing speed probably will be roughly the same, but I bet I get a whole lot more distance and a whole lot more solid strike on this one. Let me try it out. There we go, much more solid, a lot more energy getting into the golf ball there, and I'm guessing the swing speed and the distance went up a pretty decent amount on that.
Yeah, so club head speed went up to 9.8.
So picked up almost 9 miles an hour club head speed.
And carry distance went 185, total 192.
Okay, so we're talking almost 40 yards, or 40 to 50 yards farther carry, 10 miles an hour more swing speed. So that's great. It's good to know, okay, Clay, I'm supposed to be doing that. What do I need to do to actually get there? Well, let me focus on the top of your swing here. What you're feeling like you're doing in transition, that's gonna make a world of difference to getting in a good spot down here at the bottom like we're talking about, the spot that all the pros are in. So no matter what your takeaway is like, it doesn't matter to me if you're a little inside in the takeaway, if you pick the club up a little bit, you could have a different look, high hands, low hands, whatever it looks like in the backswing. The big thing is, what do you do and what are all the pros doing as they start the downswing? They're getting the club somewhat into a shallowing position. Nobody has the club on the PGA Tour out here as they're starting the downswing. It's going to be somewhere in this position back here. So what I want to feel like is I want to feel like the butt end of my club as I start the downswing and as I continue the downswing is pointing out to the golf ball. If you find yourself a little bit steep, then I'd like to see that butt end of the club even feel like it's pointing outside the golf ball a little bit. Now as I do that, as I have that idea that the butt end of the club is going to be here, look how my right hand is in a less dominant position. This is a big one. If you're a right hand, right arm, right side pusher, I'm going to want to do this with my right hand. Look how my palm is kind of facing out this way. As I shallow that club, look how my elbow tucks in. That's a big one for a lot of players. Look how my right palm is more up. That's a big one for a lot of players. And now I'm in this position where I'm kind of what I would call in the slot, meaning coming from the inside, and now I can really deliver this club like we're seeing all the pros doing. So make some practice swings, feel like that elbow is tucked in, that right palm is toward the sky. I don't want to get you completely out of your right hand. Still focus on the right hand, but focus on being in this position. That's going to get you much more in the slot. So let's go ahead and try another one out here. I'm going to swing a little harder on this one. We'll see what distance we can get. So there, even, you know, a fraction thin, that's probably a groove thin of where I'd like to be. Not my best swing ever, but I'm in that good position. My club's being delivered into the ball correctly. Even if I'm a little bit off, I still have a lot of control of the club head. So what was the swing speed and the distance on that one?
So 99.9 on the club head speed, and then total distance went up to 201.4.
Yeah, so I got a couple more miles an hour swinging a little faster, and then I got a little bit more distance too. So if you want to get that consistency, that's what it's about. So now that we're started kind of in the right spot, let's talk about, you know, Q has some great tips. We were just talking a little while ago. You know, what would you recommend once you do get down to that pro position we were talking about?
Yeah, so once you do get there, a lot of times what happens is we don't know how to get the club face to the golf ball square. We end up coming in and we're just leaving that club face open because we're used to rolling the hands over when we flip it. So what we have to do is we actually have to turn that handle down. So if you want to go to first parallel in the downswing here with the club.
Let me go open first the way.
Yeah, so this is typically the position that you're going to end up in when you get that club shallowing out. And from here, it's like danger. You don't know what's going to happen. You feel like you're just going to hit it way out there. So what you end up doing a lot of times to compensate for that is you'll stand up and you'll kind of flip at the last second so that you can square the face like you're used to doing.
And that'll close that club face up when I push with that right hand, right?
So that allows you to square it the way that you're used to doing it before. But now what we have to do is we have to train ourselves to square it in the right way, like what the tour players are doing, and that's by turning that handle down. So what you want to feel like is that you're turning this face down toward the ground. You can see what Clay's doing with his wrists here. He's bowing that lead wrist there. The trail wrist is going in a bent back, knuckles back toward the elbow kind of position, and that's getting that club face square so that you feel like you're just rotating into contact, and that's really what's squaring up the face, is the body rotating into contact there. So that's going to allow you to get that face nice and compressed so you can get, or nice and square so you can get really good compression there at impact.
Yeah, so if I'm used to doing this flip, especially if I'm looking on this face on camera here, if I'm used to doing this kind of flip motion, I'm squaring the face by pushing with that right hand. Like we talked about, we're overactive with the right hand, most people are. If you want to get in this position, you've got to learn to square the face up by doing that rolling action that Q was talking about. Once I do that, now I'm in a really good square spot. So let me go ahead and hit one more. Let me show you the good and bad for that one too. So let's say I'm used to flipping. So I'm finally in this position with a lot of lag. I'm used to squaring the face up by doing this. Even if I try to get in this position as hard as I can, my mind knows it's going to go a mile to the right if I do that, so I end up flipping anyways. If I do happen to get a little forward shaft lean, then it just goes way out to the right. Just like that, it sliced a mile, went way over in the trees there because I never had this rolling action. So those two things go together. Once you're in this better slot, once you're from the inside, once you're in this position the pros are in, they're squaring the face by rolling the hands this way. That's what squares the face. If I have forward shaft lean and I don't roll the hands, look how open that face is. So I'm going to do it here at contact, roll the hands, and now you see the face is square there. So it's really a two-part drill for me. It's two pieces that really matter here. Number one, I want to get the club facing outside this golf ball. My right palm's going to be up, my right elbow is going to be in. That's a good start to the downswing. If I get out here, it's all over. It doesn't matter what you're feeling from there. It's all going to be compensations. I got to get here first to be in the slot. Number two, once I get down here and I'm where the pros are in the downswing, I have to do this, feel that to square the face up. If I can do both of those, I'm going to be hitting it pretty daggone well. All right, hit that one really solid, going right down the middle. Pretty happy with that one. So what's the key to making this happen? A lot of times I find players can get this club shallowed out. I bet you have been able to get this club shallowed out from the inside, but then you end up hitting those blocks, those weak shots to the right. This is the secret move with the hands, getting really comfortable with that. I have a drill I call the tennis racket drill. I'm gonna play a preview of that here in a second. That's helped so many players to learn to easily square this face up and to hit it like the pros are hitting it, like all the pros are doing it. I'm gonna play a preview of that video here in just 1 second. Go ahead and click that card that pops up on your screen. If you don't see the card, just click the link down below in the description and you'll get instant access. I'll see you on the tennis racket drill. I can't wait to help you square up that face. Player problems, we're gonna talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it, the flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time,